Welcome to Platform and Possibilities. I'm your host, Corinne Jacobs Benjamin, and I'm always delighted for the opportunity to speak with individuals who are moving and shaking in their respective communities, impacting lives, and driving change. Today, I have the privilege, the honor to sit with Miss Sharon Huggins. Sharon is a daughter of the St. Kitts and Nevis soil. She is, and when we talk about moving and shaking, Sharon is one of those fearless women who has taken on private or she's a professional who was formerly in the accounting field. She has moved and shaken in the realm of business, private business. She's now an owner of a daycare called Kids of the Future in Port Charlotte, Florida. And she's also the founder of a not-for-profit organization. Sharon is also a wife, a mother of two beautiful children, and has continued to be as positive and uplifting for her family and friends as they come. So I really am honored, Sharon, for the time that you've taken today to have this conversation. And I think there's so much to talk about, but to be at this stage of your life, we have to go back to where it all began. And I really want to get a sense of how, and by the way, Sharon and I went to sixth form together in St. Kitts.
Yeah.
So I do know that Sharon is a brilliant woman, but I thought I had you in the category of those very, very quiet and reserved people. And to see you taking on the world the way you have, Sharon, I am say kudos to you, first of all, and
Thank you.
And share with us how you have become that powerful woman that I know you to be now.
Well, basically, like you said, we have to go back to come forward. So I was born, as Corinne said, in the beautiful Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, Sugar City and Uwali. Shout out to my people. I love you guys very, very much. My name is Sharon Huggins, and I started with very humble beginnings. My grandma, she raised me. Matter of fact, even though my cousins, their parents were around, she raised basically myself and my cousins, my sisters, and so forth. So my parents weren't there. And like any child, you would want your parents to be there. But looking back, there was a reason why it was my grandmother that raised me. So sometimes we don't understand when we're little why things happen a certain way. It is when we are much older that we appreciate how our lives unfolded. And I say this because my grandmother, she instilled very, very dear values in me. My grandmother, may her soul rest in peace, she was a giver. I mean, this woman would give the shoes off of her feet, okay? And so I think that I was inherently born to give back. And so even though I worked in corporate America, it wasn't fulfilling for me. After a time, it became boring, it became dull. I wasn't happy there. And so I had to just search myself deep within to find out, what is this uncomfortable feeling? What is this unfold feeling that, I'm experiencing? And God revealed to me, I'm Christian, so I always give glory and honor unto my God for everything he does. And he revealed to me in a very weird way of what it is my calling is. And I'm going to share that with you. I moved from New York in 2004. I moved to Florida. And right as probably a couple of weeks after we settled in Florida, Hurricane Charlie tore up Port Charlotte, Florida, tore it up. And after that, I worked, I was out of work for about 2 years with my children. My daughter was 2, my son was 5 years old. Eventually, I got a job back in corporate America, and it still was, something was missing, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it. But what it was that life had shifted. I've changed cities and states, and I've moved to a place where I had no family or anything like that. And a devastation came. So that was the first shift. I was home with my children and seeing the devastation, and my daughter weren't able to go to school because daycares were destroyed, and it was a lot.
It was bad.
Yeah, and so there was that again, that revelation again about daycares being needed. So it was in a weird way that everything was being revealed to me. Eventually, everything got back to normal, and my daughter went off to daycare, and so I was able to go back into the work field with A.G. Edwards. Then they got bought out by Wells Fargo.
Right.
And so and some of our positions were made redundant, and we were relieved of our duties. Well, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I was very good at what I do. And so I eventually got a job very quickly with Edward Jones. And I stayed with Edward Jones until 2012.
Right.
And all this time, I was working in corporate America, making the money, moving up the ladder and all that good stuff. But something was missing. It wasn't just all about the money. I wasn't fulfilling my purpose, and I knew that. But I was still hiding because no human being likes change. We want to hold on to the surety of what we see in front of us. And so I was hiding, and I kept pushing it in the back of my mind that I'm not going to leave. I'm not going to leave. But I tell you, when the Spirit of God and His hand is upon you, you don't have a say in what you're going to do and what you're not going to do. You're going to do the will of God.
Right.
Okay. And one day I was driving to the said job, and I always passed this particular area. It wasn't like a new route that I took. And I tell you, as sure as I'm looking at you right now, Corrine, the name of this daycare stood in front of my car, the telephone number and everything. I don't know why. I pulled the car to the side. I got out of the car, introduced myself to the owners, and spoke with them. And the rest is history. I left corporate America, and I started my Kids of the Future childcare.
Wow. Talk about powerful.
Fearful, yes, because I didn't know how I was going to pay my bills, because we know in America it takes a 2-income household for you to just live comfortably.
Yeah.
And so I was fearful, but I followed the leading of God, and it led me to a challenging career, but it's so rewarding.
Right.
I get to shape minds. I get to channel little ones in the right direction.
Yeah. Well, I was saying
that,
of course, I was actually saying that the testimony that you gave is powerful. I mean, obviously your emotional, levels were raised, and so you were fearful, but it's powerful that you actually met the calling or encountered somebody who was that person selling the business, or was it a daycare available for? How did the revelation come?
Well, actually, like I said, it's just weird things, weird coincidences, because the fact that my daughter didn't have daycare to go to, and then I came upon this daycare, my spirit was so restless, and they were willing to share with me how to go about starting up the daycare. And so after that, I knew that it was exactly God that was leading me, because wherever He plants you, He flourishes you, and He puts the resources right in front of you. And those persons were a resource for me in terms of starting.
Right.
A little bit more reassurance, because now I know the process of getting there, the process of being able to open the daycare. So it was a little bit more comfortable than when I first got the revelation. So now I had these folks that's been in that business for some time now, several years. And so I could always ask a question if I felt that I was going down the wrong path or doing something incorrectly. So that assurance was there.
All right. So take us from startup to middle of the way to where you are now, because obviously it's been a couple of years.
Yes. Listen, when I started, I had one kid, for one child for several months.
Okay.
Still questioning, did I make that right move, But things are just so weird. The same childcare that encouraged me and gave me the know-how of how to go about it, they eventually closed for a reason that I'm not going to review, but they closed, and every single one of their parents, they referred to me.
Wow.
And so I had to be turning people down left, right, and center. I just didn't have the capacity. I did not have the space. And people would hold on, and people stayed on my wait list for over a year, calling me almost every week. Do you have a spot yet? Do you have a spot yet? Do you have a spot yet? They did not want to go anyplace else. So when I tell you that where God plants you, he flourishes you.
Yeah.
Talk about flourish. I mean, my cup was running over. I had to turn people away.
I do.
So, yeah. So don't despise humble beginnings, because it's for a reason. Maybe God wants you to be more humble. He wants you probably to be more dependent on him. You know, whatever the reason is for the particular person, there's a reason why God takes you on a particular journey. And so I started with one child. To a couple of months later, I was turning people away. Not because I wanted to, I just did not have the capacity, because we have to follow rules and regulations based on the ratio of teacher to child. And, you know, it grew and it grew and it grew. And right now I have both infants, toddlers, and then in the evenings I have after school children. I assist with homework, you know, so the parents, when they come home, because I used to be there, I would have liked my children to have their homework done, just me to glance at it at the end of the day and say, okay, it's good. And so I help with the homework and all that. And I provide their lunches, breakfast, snacks, nurturing, teaching. I actually follow a curriculum. People may think that little ones, they don't learn, but you have to start when they're that young. You have to start when they're that young. And so my curriculum is not just for the pre-Ks and the toddlers, it's for the infants as well.
Right.
Go ahead.
How big is your staff?
It's just myself and my husband, which is my substitute, and I do have some volunteers.
Okay.
It's rewarding, but again, with children, you have to be very careful of who you have around children.
Of course.
And so you have to be very picky and intentional with what you're doing in terms of staffing and volunteering. And so that's why I've just limited it right now to my husband and myself. Could I grow the business? Yes, I can. Do I want to at this point? No, I don't. Because I feel if you stretch yourself too thin, you cannot give as much as you want to give. You cannot pour as much as you want to pour into the little ones that God has allowed you to be allowed you to be stewarding those little ones, you know? And so I feel that I can work at my full capacity within the capacity that I'm serving right now. Plus I have other things that I'm working on, other endeavors that I'm working on. That's also near and dear to my heart.
Of course, of course. So essentially it's a home-based business at this point.
It's a home-based business at this point, yes.
But you say it's very profitable.
It is very profitable. I'm telling you, I had been in the business for 13 years, but some stalwarts that's been in the business for over 30, in 2020, where we got the considerable raise and grant from the government, they said to me, it's a blessing in disguise, COVID-19, because in 30 years, they had not received a raise. And I think that was quite unfair, because it's a challenging business. It's rewarding and it's challenging. We have a lot of personalities dealing with in the little ones, and a lot of personalities dealing with the parents.
Of course.
Sometimes it's a lot of difficulty, you know, and it's not the children. Sometimes it's the parents.
So tell us, is it year round? Your doors are open?
It is year round. I take 12 days vacation. I typically take my vacation in December. Okay. You know, the end of the year, so that I can breathe, so that I can revive myself, revitalize myself, plan new ideas, new curriculums for the coming year. Okay. So I typically do that in December.
So what do individuals do if they want to be volunteers? Like, how do you determine who comes on board? Especially with challenges of, you know, personalities, you want to make sure you have people on board who you could trust. How do people join you?
Well, basically right now, the volunteering that I do is for the schools, because one of the criteria for the high schoolers to graduate, they have to volunteer. So I think it's 120 hours for their senior year. And so that's the route that I go. I usually allow the schools to provide us those volunteers, and they would come in and do whatever it is, the task may be at hand, and they will get their hours that way. I do it that way because there's some level of control on the personality of the students that the school is sending all the way to volunteer, rather than someone just knocking the door and walking off the streets, to volunteer. I'm very particular with the children. I'm fingerprinted. I have my background check. So is everybody in my household. So that way we put the parents at ease. So they know that the persons that's taking care of their children, are the right fit for the children. And so I go the route of the school, and I allow them to send me the volunteers.
Wow. But to hear you talk about how you've grown and the confidence you've garnered over the years because of just being in the business is really impressive. It's really impressive that you've shifted. You were once in the, accounting realm or in that particular space, and here you are now a daycare provider. So
totally different.
Totally different. So what would you say are some of the reasons why your business has been successful? What would you say has driven success for you?
You have to be true to what you're doing, and you have to have a love and a calling for it. Like I said, it's challenging, but the good, when you see the results, when you see the fruits of what you've done, it outweighs the challenges, because you are shaping minds. You're showing them love. You are guiding them. You're inspiring them to aspire, to be august, to be great. And so when you see that, and when they come into you, and there's certain habits that they have, and there's children, and just like we teach them to walk, we have to teach them to say please, we have to teach them how to sit, we have to teach them how to hold their pencil. And so once you see them overcoming those hurdles and those milestones, and it's just growing, it brings a joy to you like no other.
And that's it's your work is meaningful and rewarding.
Yes.
Right. So you said that you use the curriculum for the schools, the 3 levels, prime, daycare, or pre-K, middle school, as well as
it's basically birth to 12. So we have the homework section for the after schoolers. Then there's the curriculum for the pre-Ks and the toddlers and the infants.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah. So Sharon, what does the next 5 years look like with regard to the business? I mean, you are comfortable, and I would imagine the overheads are less, obviously, because it's an at-home business.
Yes.
Where's your head about how what next looks in terms of the business?
In terms of the business, well, actually, as I said, I don't have any plans of turning it into a facility. I don't need the overhead expenses right now, especially in this economy. And we don't know right now, after this election season, what's going to take place. Is it going to get better? Is it going to get worse? So I'm not making any moves right now. I allow the Holy Spirit to lead me. And if the Holy Spirit says to move out of this realm of the business and go into something greater, then I know the way has been prepared for me. So I will do just that. But for right now, this is where I'm at. This is where the Holy Spirit has me, and this is where I'm going to flourish.
Right. And you're pretty much marking time here because you're also involved in another initiative that we would love to share with us. Tell us a little bit about this other side of Sharon Huggins.
Okay. Well, I've told the story before, but I'll tell it again. Myself, I was just restless within myself. When I started the daycare, things became a little bit better. But because I know inherently I was born to make people's business my business, people's mishaps are my business. God created us to be founders of hope and kindness. And so that's what inspired Lighthouse, hope and kindness for others. And my grandmother, she instilled that value in me. Not that she said, oh, you have to do this or you have to do that. Just watching her and the way she moved, the way she gave. I mean, like I tell you, my grandmother, she had 5 children, but she had 10 children. Many of the neighborhood parents, they went away to make a better life for themselves. And so their children were at home and she watched over them. So I have aunties and uncles that are not blood.
Right.
Okay. And yeah, she just gave of herself. And so by just watching her over the years, you know, I wanted to emulate what she stood for.
Right.
And that restlessness would not leave me until I started Lighthouse. And another reason why Lighthouse was born, my church sister, every Sunday, she would say to me, your purpose is tied to your childcare business. And I could not for a long time understood what she meant by that. You know, and I would always say, what is this woman talking about? Every Sunday she says the same thing, and she's not telling me what she mean by that. And I would ask her, what do you mean by that? And she would say, you are going to know when it happens. You will know.
Mm-hmm.
And during the course of a daycare provider, I've seen many challenges and violent situations among the mothers, because typically the mothers would be the ones to drop the children off and pick them up from daycare. Here and there, the dads would, you know, would help out as well. But typically it's the mothers. So I saw more of the mothers than the dads. And one, she had all of her front teeth knocked out when I saw her again. And it explained it to me. It was a significant other. She said something that he thought was out of order, and he found it best to do that to her. Then there's a lot of foster children that come through, and they're so deprived of love because they're just moved from place to place, and I'm happy to feel that part.
Right.
And then there was another, that grandma, she didn't typically pick the children up, and I was kind of surprised but glad to see her come to pick the children up, didn't knowing that it was bad news that I would hear that they found mom OD'd and she was dead. And the toll that it took on these children, it was just, oh my goodness, it was heartbreaking, heart-wrenching. And many nights I was laying in my bed and I knew I was supposed to do this nonprofit. It was, the Holy Spirit was telling me all the time. And I said, Lord, I don't know anything about a nonprofit. What are you talking about? You know, I don't. But this particular night I was laying and I jumped up. I said, oh my goodness, this is what my church sister meant.
Right.
That I will know it.
Right.
Yeah, that I will know what I'm supposed to do. I will know it without her telling me. And I was like, oh my goodness. And so it was in 2019 that just before the pandemic that I said, I have to do this. So I started all my research. I knew nothing about a 501c3. I said, okay, well, I'm going to get someone who is versatile in doing this type of thing to do it for me and pay them whatever. Well, child, the fees were exorbitant, so I could not afford it. I said, you know what? I'm no dummy. I'm smart. I can do this. So I did my research and I filled out all the IRS documents and so forth. And people are saying, you shouldn't do it yourself. You have to have a particular wording for them to approve it. I said, you know what? My God, have that particular wording. He'll release it to me. And I went ahead and I did it up. And in less than a month, and I was told it typically takes 60 days for you to get a reply back. In less than a month, I got the approval back from the IRS.
Right.
You're free to go, 501c3. And so Lighthouse was born. Now, there's been a lot of stumbling blocks, a lot of name calling. You think you're arrogant. What makes you think you can do this? But you know what? Like the late John Lewis said, you have to be able to get into a bit of good trouble. And so I'm down for the cause. Call me what you want, say what you want. I'm going to go forth and fulfill what God has placed me on this earth to do. So the name calling and the door shutting in your face and whatever, it's not going to stop me. It just encourages me, it pushes me, it makes me more bold, more determined to say, listen, there's people that care. And no matter what, it's not going to stop us from caring and doing what we're supposed to do. So I'm forging forward, and I'm telling you, nothing is going to stop me from making a difference, from aspiring and inspiring people to greatness,
right,
and helping people heal I welcome the challenge and the task of, if not leveling the playing field for the marginalized person or community, then making it better so that we'll have one less uneducated, one less abused, one less unhoused. Okay, I'm going to be the voice for that person that won't speak up or can't speak up for themselves. I'm going to be there for the persons that had their opportunities defrauded from them.
Yeah.
We need that. We need to be accountable. And as the theme for this last woman's day yesterday, inspire inclusion. That's what I'm here to do. I'm here to inspire others, to include everyone as human, as equals.
Right.
We need, no matter if we're disabled, abled, green, red, yellow, or white, we need to uplift each other.
Yeah.
The community can only be better. Less crime, less hunger. It's better. It's
Right.
moving forward and upward. And so I'm here for that. I'm championing that cause. I'm here for it. You know, I'm not unapologetically, I'm going forward, doing what I have to do. Whoever wants to say whatever they want to say, that's their right. But it's also my right to make a change in my community. So I'm going to go forward and I'm going to do just that.
I hear the passion and I know that you're committed, and we could expect nothing but exactly what you've committed yourself to.
Yes.
Do you have support in terms of workers for your not-for-profit organization?
We have volunteers, no paid workers. We're in the growing stages, and I'm fully confident that we'll get to the point where we probably can give some sort of compensation, you know, eventually in the not too distant future. But right now we're just an infant and we are growing. And let's be real, we're in a world where there is inequality even in the founder of a nonprofit organization. It depends on where you came from, depends on how you look. If you look a certain way, you don't get as much funding as others. If another look a particular way, they get more funding than you. So, but like I said, my God owns everything, okay? And so I know the way has been cleared. It's just a matter of the right timing.
Right.
And so I'm not fearful. And I'm going to go forward and do what I have to do. A friend of mine.
How far is it reach for the not-for-profit? Is it just in your community?
No, it's not just in my community. It's just here in Florida for right now, but it's in any of the surrounding counties. It can be Sarasota County, DeSoto County, Lee County, Hendry County, you know, and my county right here, Charlotte County. So it's any of the neighboring counties.
Right. So how do you determine what type of support you offer a particular individual or family? How do you make that determination? Do you have a board? Are decisions made by an individual or that particular board? How does
we do? We might be small, but we have all of our ducks in a row. We have our articles of association. We have all that. We have our business plan. We have everything. We have a board. And so, yes, we sit and we talk about the different things that, well, before we put the articles and the business plan together, we sat and we saw where the need was. And so we based our need on empowering young ladies, young girls, and women. And the reason why we did that is because mothers are inherently the ones to nurture and take care of the family. And so women get burnt out very easily, more so than men. And don't get me wrong, there's men out there that's fulfilling the role of daddy and mommy. And so we tip our hats to you and we applaud you. But charity begins at home, and I'm a woman. And so basically we said, most of my board, by the way, are women too. And so we realized that we have to uplift our mothers, because if our mothers crash, the household is going to crumble.
Yes.
The family is going to be dismantled because the mother wears most of the hats in that household, in that family. The men, they are the providers, and we thank God for them. But the woman, she carries the household and the family on her shoulder. And so typically we wanted to make sure she's okay, because she's not, the family's not. And I love family. I want families to be able to function the way that God ordained it to be.
Right.
You know, I want both parents to be there.
Right.
and to be mentally sound. And so typically we decided that that's going to be the women. How we determine who we are going to assist is income based.
Okay.
It's income based. Not only that, it's also if the person is coming from a challenging home, they may have funds in that home, but is the home environment stable? Is it conducive to raise a well-rounded child? And also children that are in the foster care system. So it's not just income based. Yes, that's one of the criteria, but it's also persons in a challenged home with challenges, and foster care.
Sounds really specific and useful for individuals who are in a particular predicament where they do need that support. Sharon, so when do you take a pause? When do you take breaks in life? You seem very busy.
11 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock at night, and then I'm up again 6 o'clock in the morning. But and even my husband would say to me, "You won't let that brain of yours rest. You're in the bed, but I know something is on your mind." Ideas would come, and I would get up and I would get my book and start writing, or put it in my notes on my phone real quick. Because when an idea comes to you, don't take it for granted. It's for a reason.
Yeah.
It is for a reason, especially if you can't shake it.
It's a good time to ask, what would you offer an individual who is thinking about becoming Sharon, doing what you did, moving from a particular comfortable space in terms of their careers to possibly leading or taking charge of their own career, moving away from corporate America or a different type of work environment to consider owning a business. What would you offer as a takeaway, Sharon?
Basically, don't do it on a whim. You have to have an escape strategy from the current position you're in, the current job you're in, the current career that you're in. So don't just get up one day. It's a process. Don't just get up one day and says, "Oh, I'm going to walk out the door and do X, Y, Z." You have to first be led to what it is that you want to leave this current position for. You don't want, as we would say, you don't want to run from the
fire into the frying pan.
Yes, from the fryer into the frying pan, or something like that, because you want to make sure what you're going into that you're not going to regret, for lack of a better word right now, going there. So make sure it's purposeful. Make sure it's something that you were called to do and that it's going to be fulfilling to you. Have an exit strategy. It took me 1 full year before I walked out the door, even though I knew it. A whole year, I knew I was leaving. You have to put your ducks in a row. And I stayed for that full year because I needed to collect every single dollar of my profit sharing. So, because I would need it to start the next step, the next chapter of my career. So have that plan, okay? Be passionate about what it is that you're going forward to. And be realistic. Be realistic that in the beginning, you're not going to make loads and loads of funds. It's just not going to happen. And if you found a business where you can make that happen, share it with me, please, because it's not going to happen overnight. It takes time. And you have to realize you are the chief cook and bottle washer. And so in order for your business to be successful, whatever it looks like for you, whatever that business looks like for you, you have to work hard.
Right.
You have to have a positive mindset. You have to treat people right, because we are going to depend on people in the beginning. Always we depend on people, but you are going to have to depend on people for this business to grow.
Right. Okay. Good recommendations. It seems like you have to have your heart in it, not think about just the money. You have to be strategic and focused and committed.
Yeah. And don't leave that job until you have a plan.
The plan.
Do not. Is it going to be easy? No. But it's going to be rewarding and fulfilling in the end. It's going to be a positive thing for you, your family, and your communities. I guarantee you that.
Yeah. Sound words, really sound words of advice. I know you said that in terms of the daycare you are holding, there's some reservations as to what happens next in terms of your
Yes.
physical, where your operational focus. Tell us
Yes.
about what's in store for the Lighthouse. What can we learn about your what next in the
Yes.
business?
Well, as I said, charity begins at home. And I don't want the fellows out there to think, well, oh, she's just caring about the women. No, I care about the men as well, because there's lots of single dads out there that's doing phenomenal job with their children. Okay. And there's men out there that's going through abuse by their significant other, that's being harassed by their significant other. They go through similar stuff that we go through as well. And so my next would be to find a lighthouse for men as well.
Wow.
So we didn't forget you, brothers. We are coming to a town near you very soon.
Yeah.
Okay? We didn't forget you.
Right. So it's all inclusive.
Yeah.
Outreach.
For 2024, we have some exciting things planned for Lighthouse and for the community. Under the umbrella of raising community champions, with the theme this year is Phoenix Rising 2024. And under that theme, we have a plethora of events. May 4th is our Kidz event. And Kidz, it's confident, ambitious, resilient, elegant stars. And these are for our foster young ladies from the age of 10 to 19. We are going to be holding a workshop for them about and teaching them about the proper use of hygiene products. We're not just going to give them a bag and say, here you go use these now. We are going to teach them the purpose of these things, why they have to use them, how they have to use them, and how it's going to make their bodies feel, and how it's going to impact their community and the people around them. So it's not just here you go and see you later, figure out what to use with these. Because I remember, and I don't know if you had that experience back in the Caribbean. I mean, nobody tells you, hey, this is how you put, when you have your period, to be frank, this is how you turn the pad out, that's the way you turn.
Nobody tells you. They just pretty much told you, just share when the period came.
And stay away from boys. And you don't know what? Stay away from boys. What's going on? So we're going to tell them and teach them and help them understand the purpose of these products, and the benefits of these products and how to utilize these products and so forth. So that's here on May 4th.
Right.
And in June, July, we have Project Sunrise. And that's during the summer months when school will be closed. And we know that a lot of our lower income families, the children depend on breakfast and school lunch.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so that would be a void for them during that time. And so Lighthouse, we are going to fill that void, and we are going to be providing breakfast and lunch during the months of June and July. And then when school resumes again, then the school will take over that particular aspect. Now, we are identifying these children. We are soliciting the help of the social workers at the schools. I've reached out. We have, about 16, maybe 17, 18 public schools just in my little region. And I've reached out to them. I've reached out practically to the school board, sent in what I was doing, and it got approved. And the school board sent emails to the social workers in all the schools to identify the children that are in the low income families. Again, they can be from families that doesn't have a problem with money, but mom may not be there to provide breakfast or lunch because she's, doing a job, working, whatever. So those children as well, and children from the foster care. And if there's a friend over at your house at the time when we are doing it, bring your friend over. It's everyone. We just want everybody, all the kids, to be well fed and nourished and happy. It's summertime. They need to have that energy to run around and play and, get rejuvenated for the new school year.
And grow.
And to grow, and so that's what we are going to do in the summertime. Then next on the agenda, the 27th of July, we have emotional resuscitation. And our children, the ones that's going through all that trauma, it breaks my heart to see a child not being able to be a child. They had to grow up so quickly, you know? They go through sexual abuse, I mean, just physical abuse, all kinds of abuse. And sometimes it appears to me as though it's a trickle down effect. If someone see you being hurt or abused, they add to that. And so sometimes the person that's been abused at home also goes through bullying at school. And so, my goodness, it's just raining down negativity, sadness, pain, despair, and all that in their little lives. And it's hard for us as adults to even identify some of our emotions sometimes. We can't quite put a word to sometimes what we are feeling. Could you imagine those youngsters?
Right.
How do they put a word to what they're feeling? And so most of the times they lash out because that's what they know.
That's the only thing they know.
They don't mean to, but that's how that emotion comes across. And so we want to give them a breath of fresh air. We want to remove that negative emotion, that emotion that they can't quite put their finger on what it is they're feeling. So we want to take them to a theme park. We are looking towards SeaWorld. We're still going to make, it's a determination between SeaWorld and another park, but we are leaning more towards SeaWorld, where these children can see, wow, and there's a lighter side to life, and put that spark back in their eyes. Give them a minute to breathe out all that negative air and inhale positive oxygen, where they can run that whole day without giving a care in the world. Am I going to knock over mommy's glass? Is she going to be mad? Is she going to pound on me? You know, that man that comes to the house, I'm away from that, you know, just give them that moment. I wish I could have done it for a longer period, you know, but just for that moment, they can breathe. They can be a child. They can run, they can hop, scream, cry all day if they want to, shout all if they want to. It is their time to resuscitate. It is their time to be rebuilt, their time to breathe out the negative and inhale the positive.
Phenomenal initiative. That is. That really is.
Then we have on August 17th, this is more towards our experienced ladies. We are visiting 2 assisted livings, and we are going to do a spa day with these ladies there. Now, I've partnered with my technical college here in the cosmetology department, and they're coming out, and we are going to give these ladies the pampering that they need. They're the stalwarts of our community. They gave their best, and now it's time for us to give them our best. And so I know a lot of the people in the assisted livings. Some of them don't have children, and some of them have children that's probably estranged or for whatever reason don't visit. And so this particular event is called A New Dawn. Just to give them a new horizon on life. Hey, I'm not just sitting here pining away. There's people that care. Oh my goodness, they're coming to do my hair. They're coming to do my nails. There's people that care, and so they don't feel that quite aloneness. And like I said, I wish we can do it every day.
Right.
But we can't, so we are being realistic, and so we're strategically putting these events out there, and there's a reason behind every one of these events. We're not just haphazardly running here and running there. There's a strategy behind why and when we are doing these particular events. And so I've identified the assisted livings that we are going to approach, and they're all on board and they're ready to go. We have all of our sign-up lists. We have our liability waivers. We have our permission slips for the particular thing to be performed on you, whether it's your hair, cutting, styling, whatever it is. So we might be small, but we have all of our paperwork, our ducks in a row, and we're protecting every volunteer, every board member, every officer, and every agency that's working along with us from any liability. So we have everything down packed and clad and ready to go. Then on commencing, I think it's September 14th, we have our square table basics. We call it square table basics. We know most tables are either round or rectangular, but we want to cover the four corners. So we call it square table. Square table basics, I love this. I mean, I'm so excited about it. In my neck of the woods, we don't have anything like cotillions or anything like that where you teach the ladies how to sit up, be prim and proper and all that stuff. We don't have that. I'm in a little community. And we didn't have that back in the islands either. And so as my younger self, I always wonder, wow, when I saw these people, doing all these fancy smancy stuff, what's that all about? And so I promised myself when I started the nonprofit to give the young ladies that experience, because I know all of us, we want to get dolled up and all that and feel great about ourselves. And so we can't quite do it on the cotillion level, not just yet, but what we're doing for these 20 girls, 20 young ladies, is that we're going to give them a 6-week etiquette course and skills training. It's anything from dining manners, greeting skills, interview skills, hygiene skills, tech etiquette, because we know these young ladies, they get on the internet and they don't quite know what they're doing and they get themselves in some trouble. Yeah. So we want to prepare them for all that stuff. And after that 6-week experience, which commenced on September 14th and it concludes on October 19th, we strategically plan that for the International Month of the Girl Child, which is in October.
Right.
And so, yeah, we're strategically planning what we're doing. And so after the etiquette 6 weeks course, I've secured a dining experience for these young ladies. And I shout out Chaz 51 in Venice. Thank you, Mr. Charles and Miss Dorothy. You guys rock. For 26 of us, the 6 volunteers and 20 girls, they will be preparing dinner. And so these young ladies are going to get dolled up. We're taking them shopping, of course, to get the proper attire for this dinner. We've also partnered with the technical college. They can get whatever they want done, their hair colored, their nails done, whatever age appropriate spa treatment, they're going to get that as well, with the proper consent form, of course, from their parents. Yeah. Yes. And all of my fingerprinted and background check volunteers are going to be there every step of the way with the young ladies at the restaurant, at the spa, and making sure that they're okay and well taken care of. And then we are off to Venice that very day, October 26th. And we are going to have that dining experience where they utilize these skills that they have learned over the 6 weeks and just have this breath of fresh air and nothing to worry about. Just relax and get them all dolled up so they can just thrive. I mean, sometimes all somebody needs is a fresh haircut. Yeah. Someone to hold their hand, someone to smile and say, I believe in you, you can do this. And the tools, the necessary tools, and my goodness, you will see them just flourish. And so that's what we're aiming, that they can be set apart from their peers that did not have this experience, to be an inspiration to their peers to say, wow, I want to do that too. I can do that too, and so that's what we want. And as a result, at the end of it, we want them to know how to greet, the skills of greeting and looking someone in the eye, giving a firm handshake. We want them to have proper interview skills, how to sit, their skirt length where it should be, the proper way that a gentleman is supposed to treat you. Because like I said, and that will be for the older girls. We're having from 10 to 19 years old. That part will be for the older, what is it to expect, and to let them know you are beautiful. Do not wait for anybody to tell you. You are resilient. You are powerful. You are amazing, and you rock, and you can do this. You can reach wherever your heart desires. And so we just start just giving them that little push, that those little bit of skills can take them a long way, and they can hone these skills for a lifetime. Right. Those skills won't be able to be taken away from them.
You're equipping, you really are equipping them to be ready for whatever comes. And yes. And this is all voluntary work. So
all voluntary work. And kudos also, a shout out of thanks to Kia of Port Charlotte. They're one of our sponsors for one of the events. They particularly were very impressed with Square Table Basics, and so they've sponsored that particular event. Our Kia of Port Charlotte, thank you.
That's good. One of the things I'm sure you've learned in this process is how to build relationships, build partnerships, and as you network, connect with people to really amplify the work that you're doing. So
it's very important. You have to be able to decipher like-minded people, like, you know, that appreciate what you're doing and they have the same mindset, because they'll be just as passionate as you.
And that's what you need.
Yeah. And again, it's not just about the funds. We do need the funds to meet these goals, but we can have all the money, no volunteers, no ideas. What are we going to do with the funds? So it's cohesive. It all works together. We need volunteers. We need ideas. We need the funds, definitely. We need people from every skill base to volunteer. And it does not have to be with Lighthouse, but just find what you're passionate about and just pour those services into where your skills are needed, which is a nonprofit organization. Again, it's not everybody that's going to start their own, but everybody has something to offer. I don't care what it is.
Yeah,
we have something to offer. You can be the person driving the bus to SeaWorld, and you may think it's insignificant, but how would we get there so that these young ladies can have that emotional resuscitation?
Right.
You know? So don't second guess your skill. It may seem trivial, but it's okay.
Okay.
It's needed somewhere. Then we have Success Slope, and this is in December. We don't have a date pinpointed yet in December, and these are for our incarcerated ladies that's inside the prisons for petty crimes. We don't have the capacity to deal with more upscale crimes, you know. So ladies, yeah. So we're channeling ourselves to assist those that are in prison or jail for petty crimes. And
get in touch with what information is out there. Do you have a website? Do you have an email address?
We don't have a website. We don't have the funds to pay for it yet, but like I said, it's all coming. God is working it out. And I know without a shadow of a doubt, this thing is not just going to be in Port Charlotte. It's going to be regional, and even international. You heard it here first. Okay. Well, we don't have a website, but we do have a Facebook page, and that's Lighthouse, 2 words, Lighthouse Restoration Home, Inc. We're on Facebook. We also have email address, and that's Lighthouse Restoration Home @gmail.com. And you can also direct message us on the Messenger, on the Facebook Messenger. Yes. And we have a phone number where you can reach us at 941, which is my particular phone number, 941-875-1128. So you can reach us by those means. The website will be coming around the corner.
It's coming. You've spoken it into existence. It's happening.
It's coming.
So essentially, you're an advocate. The advocacy is for young people. It's not just for your daycare, but it's also for people who there is a need.
Yes.
Specific resources, and you are that conduit to those resources. And so
now there's agencies out there that are very great at what they do and the things they provide. But the difference here at Lighthouse is that we try to get to the root of the problem, the thing that caused you to be in the trouble that you're in. The thing that caused you to be at the place that you're at right now, the thing that caused you to stay in a place that you shouldn't be.
Right.
So we try to get to that. And once we've pinpointed that, then we try to work on that, try to cure that, try to heal that root. Because once we heal that root, we know you're good. We know you can now forge forward. And so a lot of times the agencies, they provide immediate
support,
immediate need and support. And that's good because we need that, But then when that immediate need is no longer, do you go back to being homeless? Do you go back to the abusive spouse? Do you shoplift that thing again and go back to prison? You know, so what is it that caused you to shoplift? What is it that causes you to stay in that abusive relationship? Is it lack of confidence, lack of resources? What is it?
Right.
You know, had you had some childhood trauma that weren't addressed, and so you feel that that's all you're worth? You know, and so we try to get at that root thing, work with them on that root thing, build up whatever is broken, and, you know, help them to be self-sustainable. Do we just discard them once we think that the problem is fixed? No, we're still here for them to mentor. We're still here for them to check in with us. We're still here to say, hey, here's this card. There's some resources we don't provide here, but it's over there, you know. So we're still there. We're not just going to say, okay, we think we've fixed your brokenness now, so you're on your own. And so that's what comes out of a lot of different agencies, not intentionally, but their purpose is different from our purpose. They're fulfilling their purpose, and so we have to fulfill ours.
Right. Listen, Sharon, you are such an amazing steward to your community, obviously to your family, because they have given you their blessing to be all that you are to everybody else. Nurturing and just generous and free-spirited and not judgmental. I mean, out of this conversation, I have found so many adjectives to describe who I think you are, and in terms of the business and the journey that you've taken from the daycare or from relocating from New York to Florida, and then the business, having that conviction that this was meant to happen. And then, you know, segue into this not-for-profit, which is leaping in bounds. You know, clearly your confidence level in what you're doing regarding, you know, not just a career, but the things that you're passionate about. You know, everybody should have a Sharon in the corner, right? I can only commend you and offer words of encouragement. I don't have to encourage you to do the work, because you clearly know what you have to do, but just to really continue in that mindset, to go after those things that bring you joy, fills your heart, but impact lives. And that's one of the biggest takeaways for me from having this conversation with you, because of course your personality, you know, was so different when we first met years ago, but life will teach you, and you are clearly, you know, you have blossomed beyond that safe space that you were in. But based on the foundation, a lot of it I hear is foundation. I mean, you've spoken. I you know, try not to interject when you've spoken for the last couple minutes. But these are things that stand out. You know, these touch points that you've highlighted that come from what's in your heart. And I can only say mega, mega, mega congratulations to you, because I know what matters is not just the adulation that you get, but the joy that's
yeah, definitely. Listen, doing this kind of work, it's not for people out there to thank you, but it's for you to see that spark in those children's eyes again, to see that woman that was beaten down so many times rise again. I mean, I have a couple of ladies that I work with behind the scenes, and I tell you, when I first got in contact with them, like, oh my goodness. And now to see some of them, it's just so great. I mean, yeah, I've had one that relocated to Atlanta, and she called me the other day and we spoke, and she was like, Miss Sharon, I need another one of you in Atlanta. I said, sorry, she's only in Florida.
Think about it. You've already
so
this the spark in her, whatever you've implanted,
instilled in her,
and blossom too. And she will do it where she's in Atlanta, you know.
Yes. She's thriving. She's doing great, you know. I mean, she's doing great. She's had some trauma. Her daughter has had some trauma, and my goodness, they're doing great. You know, is the trauma and the healing fully completed? No, but they're doing the work. They check in with me, I check in with them, and they're doing the work. And I'm so happy for them. They've come a long way. They're doing great. I have others that's still going through, still struggling, but I'm there for them. I pray with them. I encourage them. I provide what I can, and I help them through. And they're doing all right. They've come a mighty long way. And so I just give God thanks for them and thanks for what he did in their life and what he's doing in their life, because I could not do what I'm doing without him placing those young ladies in my life. I wouldn't know where to find them. And there's specific people assigned to you for you to steward these people. And so you should not take it lightly, because you're responsible for them. If God puts them in your hands, you're responsible for them. And so you should not take it lightly. It is a serious, serious task, and do it well, because you have to answer for it. If you don't do it well and they continue screwing up, you're charged for it. I don't want to be charged for it. So I do the best that I can. Am I perfect? No, I mess up. But when I do, what I do know is to ask God for forgiveness. And even when I don't feel like saying sorry, when I don't feel like it's my fault, if the person is hurting, I say sorry.
Right.
But am I perfect? No, I have lots of flaws. Trust me.
I think
one of them is
to pretend that we are flawless, or
no, I'm not. And what you see with me is what you get. I don't put on any ears or anything like that, no bells and whistles. I go for the jugular. If it's a cause that I believe in and it's a good cause, a cause for the positive, I'm going to knock down whoever stands in my way to get this thing done.
I hear you.
And some may call me pushy, arrogant, whatever, but you know what? Hey, that's me.
You want to get it done. Is there a fun fact about you that we could take away?
Yes. Well, my son says, Mom, you don't drink alcohol, but it's funny how every time you bake, you want to put rum in something. So yeah, so I put rum in a lot of my baked goods.
Right.
Also, even like Corinne said, I was more on the laid back side when we went to school together. And you wouldn't know from just looking at me that I'm very crafty. I make a lot of ornaments that are in my house.
Yeah.
I do my hair. Yes, I do my hair, my daughter's hair. I do a lot of art stuff. I bake a lot. So
where do you find the time? Where do you find the time?
1 o'clock at night, sometimes on a weekend.
Yeah. Do what you have to do. But it's all in fulfilling your purpose, your path, your passions. And I just cannot say how, I keep finding something to really salute you for, because you're really phenomenal in everything that you've pursued in terms of your career and even your personal life. That I think, you are the perfect example or template for our young people to model the work that you do, continue to do what you do. Here we try our best to, inform, inspire, and empower people. And you came here today, and that's exactly what you did. In a month, we're celebrating women, we're celebrating, the accomplishments of women, but we also want to spotlight people who are selfless and mindful of communities, advocates just like yourself. And so I am so pleased that you've taken some time to have this conversation, Sharon. Mighty lots of information, but useful for people to know the kind of work that is being done, and the stewards of this work. That's what you represent, and that's what people are appreciated for, because you are in it for the benefit of others.
Yeah, definitely.
Parting word?
Yeah, I would say, in order for us to grow as individuals and communities and societies, we must have shared hearts. Meaning, we can't be selfish with our love, our compassion, and just keep it in our small circle. Mm-hmm. We should be able to share that joy, that empathy, that compassion. We should be able to share peace with others. Shared hearts inspires. It inspires healing. It inspires greatness. It inspires our communities to be closer and where we will look out for each other. So I would say no matter how you look, able, disabled, green, black, blue, red, what communities we come from, we should share our hearts with each other, because once we do that, we can only rise up as champions. So just share your heart, share your love. It'll go a long way.
I love all of it, Sharon. Thank you so much for sharing a piece of your love, a piece of your heart, and for sharing that. That goes a mighty long way. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing, and we wish you every success as you continue your journey in service. This is ultimately what it is. All that we just said is basically
service.
That I'm a servant of God, I'm a servant of people. Show me the work, and I will show you the results. Yes. Bravo, my dear.
And we'll be showing you all the clips and everything of all the events. They're coming soon as they unfold. We'll upload the clips to our Facebook, so they'll be coming soon. Thank you very much, Corinthia, and you do marvelous work, because otherwise, ladies that looks like us, our endeavors and the things we do may not get noticed unless you do the kind of work you are doing. And so salute to you too. You're a very strong influence among us, believe it or not. And your exercise regimen, I'm copying that as well, doing my best. I can't do as much as you, but I'm trying. And so you've inspired us in so many ways as well. And so I want to salute you as well and say thank you. Continue to do the good work that you are doing. Continue to highlight what these women are doing, because it only shows people out there and aspire people to do what they're doing as well, when they see how powerful and work we are doing, how selfless the work is. And if you don't highlight it, sometimes it's just hidden. So we're thankful for all the Corinchians in the world that's highlighting what our women are out there doing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Until next time, my dear.
Take care. All right.